We've heard from museums around the country after we celebrated the return of visitors. Professor Mary Beard triggered a wave of old relic love with her budget item here about the British Museum, the world in one object. Among those who wrote was Patrick Gibb of the Strachur Smiddy Museum on the west coast of Scotland, whose bellows we enjoyed 15 minutes ago or so. It's a surviving blacksmith's workshop dating back to the 18th century. I heard from Cathie Montgomery, whose family's been involved for generations.
I've lived with it all my life, and my people have lived with it all their lives, from my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather. So although the Smiddy was hardly functioning in my childhood, the people of these times were all around, and the Smiddy appears to have been the centre of the village, the meeting place in the village. The fire was on, and people would, of course, their horses were being shod. And also, the blacksmith in these days was the local DIY. So everything, or a lot of items, were mended by the blacksmith. So it was truly the meeting place. Next door, we had the post office also. My people had the coaches. So there was a lot going on in our wee corner. A clachan is the centre of a community. There are clachans around the west of Scotland. So that is generally where all the buzz would have been in these days anyway.
And what joy has it brought you all to keep it going?
Well, the pleasure which people get from visiting it. I would have said that often it was people who have a memory of the Smiddy who particularly loved coming and remembering, bringing back their memories. And also what is lovely is families coming in and children who have no idea what a fire is even, and coal and wood. And that's a particular pleasure also. In fact, just a week ago, we had a lady who herself, elderly, who herself had had a pony trekking centre, and she had been a farrier. So she was just thrilled to be in amongst the life of the Smiddy again, the blacksmith working at the forge, making pokers as he was that day. And the place just as it was, it's as if time has stood still, I would say. It's as it was when it was a working Smiddy.
Now, we heard about you because we featured the reopening of the British Museum, and you've had to make the same journey. Big though they may be, the same virus, it doesn't discriminate on how posh your institution is. So how difficult was it, or otherwise, to open with social distancing at the Smiddy?
That's a good question, because that particular day I'm talking about with 3 groups of people, and because the blacksmith's working, everybody's particularly interested in standing and watching and looking and learning. So one group were in, the first group in for an hour, but fortunately they had moved on when the next family came in. And then when the 2 ladies arrived, I had to ask them to wait outside for a good wee while, and then that next group moved into the wee craft shop. So we don't anyway get a lot of visitors, so it hasn't been a problem for us.
Good. Well, I hope we don't cause a run on the Smiddy.
That would be wonderful for us, truth to tell, but I'm sure we would manage it.
I'm sure you would. Cathie, thank you so much for talking to us.
You're very welcome. Come and see us sometime.
Yes, I'm very lucky. I got invited last week. I got invited into the British Museum. I'm going to clock up a lot of miles. Cathie Montgomery, who we think should read Book at Bedtime.